Suzanne, I'm very happy to have you here today.
So happy to be here. Very fun to be on something live for a change.
Yeah, that's good. And we have a lot in common in relation to in respect to our views on marriage and relationships. And I'm always pleased to see a new article by you taking on the new orthodoxy, which is controlling the.
I feel like it's getting worse by the year. Worse by the year.
Now, so we're talking today about the whole issue of woke women and what the attitudes of woke women are doing to relationships and marriage. And I want to start off by getting you to tell the story of story about the husband store, which you posted on Facebook. Can you tell? It's a lovely story. Can you tell us?
Okay, well, I want to. All right, if I'm going to read this, then we have to qualify. Hold on. Uh-oh. You gave it to me. Do you have it in front of you?
I have it. I'll probably muck it up, but yeah.
Hi guys, welcome to the channel, and in today's video we are responding to a video entitled "Woke Women Are Killing Relationships." That is very important because we are going to hear a great testimony from these women from an article that proved that it is almost impossible to satisfy a modern woman. But before we move forward, don't forget to like the video. Now let's jump into the video.
Because I didn't actually write that story, and I think some people on Facebook thought I did.
I thought you posted.
No, here it is. I found it. No, I didn't write that story.
I know it's not your story, but I thought you posted it. Yeah,
I know I did. I posted it, and then I had a lot to say about it. But just to
it's a famous story. Yeah. Anyway, tell the story.
So there's this store in New York City called the Husband Store, where women can only go to choose a husband, where women can go to choose a husband. And at the entrance to the store is this sign that you can only visit the store once. And there are 6 floors inside, and the men's value increases as women ascend each flight of stairs. And they're permitted to choose any man they want from any floor, or they can go up another floor, but they cannot go back down except to exit the building. So a woman goes into the store to find a husband. On the first floor, the sign says, "These men have jobs." On the second floor, the sign says, "These men have jobs, love kids, and are extremely good looking." Wow, the woman thinks, this is great, but she keeps going up. She goes to the 4th floor, and the sign there says, "These men have jobs, love kids, and are drop dead good looking, and they help with the housework. Mercy me, the woman says, I can't stand it. Yet she still goes up to the 5th floor. And there the sign reads, "These men have jobs, love kids, are drop dead gorgeous, help with the housework, and have a strong romantic streak." The woman is tempted to stop there, but she doesn't. Instead, she goes to the 6th floor, where the sign reads, "You are visitor 3,261,496,012 to visit this floor. There are no men on this floor. This floor exists solely as proof that women are impossible to please. Thank you for shopping at the Husband Store." To avoid gender bias charges across the street. And on the 1st floor, there are wives who love sex. On the 2nd floor, there are wives who love sex and who are kind. On the 3rd floor are wives who love sex, who are kind, and who enjoy sports. The 4th, 5th,
guys, did you hear this?
Have never been visited.
The 4th, 5th, and 6th floor, 3 floors have never been visited. As for women, they have gone through all the 6 floors and yet they are not satisfied. Please, don't try to satisfy a woman. It is almost impossible to satisfy a woman. There's no need doing it. Do what you can do and leave the rest. Okay? Please don't forget to share your thought down below. Don't forget to share your thought down below. This is something that it worries me a lot. Because we try to please women. We try to do this. Sacrificing your own happiness for a woman is a dumb thing to do in the modern days relationship. If you are for marriage, you better learn, you better study, and know what you are getting into. As for most men, they are opting out because the circumstances of marriage has no favor for men, because it is almost undoubtedly proven by women themselves here from this article that is almost impossible to satisfy the modern woman. No matter you give, even you are tall, short, or whatsoever, she will ask for something else. Let's keep watching the video.
And that's the end of the story.
I love that.
I love it too.
No, so tell me why you posted it.
Okay, so look, it was just an obvious, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out the message there. Women are very difficult and hard to please, and men are not. Men are simple, their needs are simple, and the more women think they can have, the more they tend to go after. And then when they get to that point, they're never satisfied and want more. I mean, that's the general gist of the message. And of course, depending on whether you have a sense of humor, right?
Which is very rare these days.
Very rare. I mean, you know, you would think that I said, because of course I made some comments about that anecdote, and that today we are having a problem with extremely unrealistic and high expectations, usually on the part of women, and that it's a problem for sustaining marriages and relationships. And you would think that I told women that they should just, I said something like lower your expectations, and I made it pretty simple, but then I explained it in the post. But if you just looked at the meme, it said lower your expectations, ladies. And you would think that I had said, just take any old man off the street. You know, you shouldn't have any, even if he abuses you, that's okay. You know, like they just took it as far as they could take it. And that's kind of what happened.
Or any suggestion that women ever do anything wrong gets you into trouble, let alone the idea that they shouldn't aim as high as they possibly can. I mean, I totally agree with you about women's expectations, and it's something I've wrestled with and written about for decades. And as I mentioned, when I was promoting this discussion, I had five rather difficult years of my life as an online dating coach. I mean, it was very entertaining in lots of ways.
What was the takeaway?
You know, and it started off as lots of fun, just the business of helping women write their profiles and so on. But then dealing with the women's expectations was the thing that did me in the end, and trying to get them to get real. I mean, they'd come in with these huge shopping lists of things that they had to have in their relationships, and that they would lay out in their profiles. You know, I need this, I want this, I must have this. And I would say, you're not in a buyer's market, lady. I was dealing mainly with women over 50. And, you know, they're up against it in online dating. The numbers are beginning to really dramatically shift against them, particularly well-educated women. And they had to sell themselves. They had to work out what they had to offer a man, not what they had to have. And boy, was that hard work. And you know, this sense of entitlement, this sense of
I
suppose what I find really offensive is their willingness to denigrate men. I mean, they see so little, many of them see so little good in men. And they're so on the lookout for men's faults rather than looking past their physical appearance, looking past how much money they had. I mean, they just cannot begin to settle. That term, to settle, is one of the keys here, don't you think? I mean, they really bristle at the notion of settling.
And the funny thing about the word settle is, of course, it sounds bad. You know, the language matters, and that sounds bad. But of course, if you're starting from an unrealistic place, then settle isn't a bad word. In fact, you could just say, instead of having inflated expectations, just have realistic expectations, as opposed to high and low and settling and aiming high or whatever. You know, you can change the language. But yeah, there's just no, I think the best way to get a woman to understand it, I have found, at least in my coaching business, is if you reverse it. I find that's very quick. If you reverse the genders, let's say I'm talking to a wife who's really, really upset because her husband is an A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I reverse it and I say, well, what if he expected boom, 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 boom of you? And all of a sudden it's just crystal clear, or whatever. It's not even of your qualities, but whatever it is they expect in the relationship that you should do or be like. You know, it doesn't work that way in reverse, because men don't have very many needs. They really genuinely don't. Be nice, be available, affection, appreciation, and that's about it.
Exactly. This is what we are talking about. Men don't want much in a relationship. Guys, truly speaking, number one, focus on yourself. Number two, improve yourself. Focus on your vision, your dream, your skills. Go to the gym, keep yourself fit. If you are into dating, date around. But when it comes to relationship, guys, you need the last prayer to step into a relationship this nowadays, because relationship is a minefield for most
Only a
men.
bit of sex, but that's
Well, no, the
Share your
sex.
comment
The
down
sex
below.
I'm sorry.
Let's
When
keep
I
on
said
watching.
be available, I meant sex. I was including sex. Yeah, be interested in sex. If you're interested in sports, that's helpful. If you're not, whatever. But yeah, sex, food, being nice, kind, generous, selfless, thoughtful. I mean, really, these are human traits. It's just that for men, they're just, the list isn't long. That's the difference. That was the point of the husband store and the wife store, is that one's got a long list and one doesn't. And when you look at those side by side, if you're able to really look at men and women and their needs and your relationship in a more, I guess, detached or objective fashion and not take everything so personally, you can see that there's a real disconnect there, that it doesn't make sense to have a huge laundry list and then this list. I mean, obviously there's going to be a disconnect if you don't learn to work with what those respective needs are. And unfortunately for women, it ends up being just the focus is so much on them and just not at all on men.
Yeah, but isn't that also something to do with the shift in power that's occurred in relationships? And I mean, okay, divorce obviously is a very destructive thing in all sorts of ways, but many women know they'll come out okay. Not all women, but lots of women will end up with a house, they end up with the children, they can deny contact, the father's contact with those children. I mean, they have enormous power in the divorce situation. Not all women, as I say, but many women. And so it's not such a dreadful option for them. And men know that divorce is likely to be devastating for most of them in terms of their relationships with their kids and in terms of their financial assets and so on. You're right to take it off the table because it's there, and that is changing the whole nature of how people think about their relationships and how much effort they need to put into them. Don't you think?
Yeah, I really feel like over the last 30 or 40 years, so much of the problems that are plaguing particularly young modern marriages have to do with the way we think, the way we think about the other sex, about marriage as an institution. It's not just laws and just customs or mores or whatever. It's really this mind shift. So, for example, one of the big things that I think is when I referred on that article to woke women, I'm referring to women who've been raised to believe, hook, line, and sinker in the equality concept, meaning that men and women are interchangeable, that there are no real sex differences, that what one does, the other does, and that they're like partners instead of unique individuals coming together to form this union, and that they each bring specific skills to the table, that if you capitalize on that, as they're coming in a competitive way, where it's almost like they're roommates. They're not combining their money. They're calling the money his money, her money. It's not just separate bank accounts. I mean, the whole mindset is that's his money, that's her money, that's her debt, that's his debt. The whole concept of working as a team and complementing one another with unique roles. And that doesn't have to mean traditional, hardcore, inflexible gender roles. I just mean that you bring something unique as a woman and as a man, and that when you work within that framework, that natural biological framework, you're going to have more success than when you're trying to compete with one another and acting as though you are interchangeable, which is what I see all the time in my coaching business.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And yet, there are real inconsistencies here, because in terms of how women judge the success of their relationships, they judge it very much in terms of traditional female framework. I mean, men need to become more, if you ask women what they're looking for in a partner, it's all in terms of traditional female skills. They want men who can talk to them, who are emotionally available. They measure everything through their own ruler. So the man is in the good books if he regurgitates his emotions and talks about his feelings rather than doing something for her, like mending the toaster. The traditional way men have shown affection and cared for their families.
The third way women empowerment has turned women's minds into something we can't predict now. Most women now, especially the modern woman, think of competing with the men. They thought that men and women are the same. they thought that we supposed to be like women then to satisfy them. And if you allow yourself to successfully be changed by a woman, at the end of the day, she will irritate you and leave you for another person. It is naturally built on women to go for alpha male. Men with authority, men with standard, and men with discipline. A man who can say no to a woman, those are the, at the end of the day, those are the men that women naturally are drawn to. That's why most women, you see, they love bad boys. Only when they hit the wall at their 30s, 45, they start to look for a nice man, a good guy to settle with after they have been washed. Guys, you have to protect yourself from the modern woman. Keep on watching the video. Share your thought down below.
And then the irony is once they get that to happen and they're involved and it's enough years go by, they're miserable. They hate it. They don't want that at all. They thought they wanted that because they were told that's what they wanted.
And of course, what happens when they get divorced? I mean, what I always thought was so funny. When I was online dating, it's full of men who would love to have had a Porsche but are now broke. So they have a motorcycle. Online dating is full of middle-aged men on motorcycles, which I think says a lot about, what they want, just a bit of freedom and the fact that they wanted to take certain risks and they were never allowed to.
What's so unfortunate about it is that there's so few things that women can do to appease isn't the right word, to and allow isn't even the right word, but if men have these things that they need, they will be those husbands that women are wanting them to be. That's what I'm trying to say. And they don't realize that they're their own worst enemy, the women, because they're not this simple thing of allowing him to have what he might have if you weren't around, or to have the space, even if there's things that need to be done. Just give him an hour without bugging him. There are just so many little things that you can do that will bring a completely different dynamic into your relationship, and you will get from him what you're ultimately wanting. And yet I mean, a lot of times women just really don't understand that. Mothers used to pass this information on to their daughter, right? Go from mother to daughter to mother to daughter. Here's how to love a man. Here's how to pick a husband. Here's how to keep your marriage, right? You don't hear stuff like this anymore, like ever. I mean, I do. That's what I teach. That's in my work, but it's very rare. And I mean, I can see this is really scary because I can see passing on some of this sage, old time advice and wisdom. They literally never heard it before. And they'll sort of look at me like, no one has ever said anything like this to me. Like it's a complete revelation.
Sorry. Do you go to conferences? Do you ever say this do you ever meet other counselors?
No.
They'd hound you out of the room, wouldn't they?
I know. Oh, I've been to counselors, so I know. And I know of counselors and I read their stuff. So I'm very well aware that they are not saying what I'm saying. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, because it's just absolutely, I don't know, I can't even think of the word. Knowing what the language now is in marriage counseling.
Right. It's harmful. It's harmful.
You would drive them ballistic.
Absolutely.
Speaking like this,
I know, absolutely. And then of course they have to say all these politically correct things too to appease the powers that be above them. That's a nice thing about coaching is very different from counseling, because counseling is more clinical. It might get into mental illness. That's not what coaches do at all. At least not marriage or relationship coaches. Ours is based totally on experience and research, and basically experience of having been there, done that. And here's what worked for me, or here's what doesn't work. I had a book that I wrote, The Alpha Female's Guide to Men and Marriage, which was part memoir, part self-help. That came out in 2017. And it went through explaining my own transformation in my own marriage. And it's from that and coming out on the other side that coaching really flourishes, because you help other people now do it.
Yeah. But I mean, I constantly have people saying, where can I go? I mean, my marriage is in trouble. And I have such difficulty finding places to refer people.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Most coaches, I would say, no question, are female, aren't they? Still.
Say that again?
I would say the profession is dominated by women.
Oh, yes.
You know,
And
the chances are that, you know, I mean, where it's come up a lot with me is men talking to me about how miserable they are, that they get constantly sexually rejected in their marriages, and that they go along to a counsellor and end up talking about housework. When the female counsellor takes her side, when she raises every possible reason why she's not interested in sex with him, you know, if he did the laundry, he'd get laid. I mean, that whole nonsensical argument. And that's what they end up talking about. And they never get back to talking about sex. And I hear it again and again and again, because, of course, half of those, maybe most of those women who are doing the counselling don't believe that there's any obligation for couples to look after their sexual needs. That's just an anathema now, isn't it?
It is. And a lot of them are divorced themselves. So there's that. I don't understand why anybody would want to go seek help from somebody who's not been successful in the thing that you're looking to be successful in. I find that fascinating.
Guys, why will you go to seek on how to catch a fish from a fish itself? Go to the fisherman. The women, especially modern dating coaches who are women, are helping the other women to sink when it comes to relationship. How can a woman, a single woman or divorced woman, teach other women how to stay in relationship? This one is beyond my understanding. Please share your thought down below and don't forget to comment down below. Subscribe to the channel for more videos, and I will link the video down below. Please support the channel. They have good information. You can also support them also. Thanks for watching.